Okay, and we're back. Now, just quickly catching us back up. Last we left off, you, Seraph, for Muninn, and your band of canaries were stranded upon a core world that had apparently rebelled against Union. You were attacked when you were attempting to re-enter and have discovered about the mutiny occurring after you were assaulted with a couple of crudely made mech-like vehicles.
Characters strapped with guns, essentially.
Essentially. You're discovered through going through the wreckage after the fight of the location of where you were supposed to land, and hope that if you were to reach there, you'd be able to resupply power to your mechs, supply power to your close friend Hugin's suit that keeps her alive, as well as maybe even contact off-world and get yourselves out here and back home. You've been essentially going through the night, taking shifts for people to pilot your mechs to make best use of your time. You'd also picked up a radio transmitter from the enemy, so you used it to relatively efficiently avoid any further patrols and confrontations. During the night, you had a little bit of a troubling conversation with Hugin, who presented interest in perhaps using this opportunity to leave behind the Canary Institute and start anew. Such a thing would not only be pretty traitorous to everything you've been raised up to believe in, but everything that you personally, Muninn, stand up and aspire to be. Mm-hmm. And that's, I'll let you describe how you feel about that.
At this point, I don't think the actual implications behind that have really clicked with Muninn yet.
Mm-hmm.
Her primary focus has more been on the stakes at hand rather than that, and something she was probably going to think on more with time.
I see. So, yeah, with keeping your mind focused in the task ahead of you, first, you and your group managed to move through the night relatively uneventfully. As the sun rises over the horizon and dawn comes, you arrive at the following location. Yes, so as you see, the path you've been following to leads to a very unstable and rickety looking bridge at the far end here. Accompanied with you, of course, is Hugin in her mech, as well as flying overhead would be Cherub 4 in her mech, as well as Throne 4 in his mech. At the very back of this vanguard would be the large truck you managed to recover from the enemy, which carries the rest of your allies, whose mechs did not survive the re-entry, currently being piloted by Principality 4. The truck, with its large bore wheels, is able to easily navigate off-road and move on ahead. The rest of your mechs can kind of move straight on ahead without much difficulty, as Cherub is able to fly, and the rest of you can climb over with, the fact that your mechs have legs.
So these buildings around, do they look like recently destroyed or?
Right. So looking at these buildings, it definitely seems that they have been bombed out. As far as the recency of it, they don't seem like they're ancient ruins. So while it could be anywhere from a couple of months ago to yesterday, it's not super old. And these buildings definitely don't look destroyed due to age, but rather due to some sort of conflict that had occurred here.
Who has the radio?
The radio would be on Hugin's mech.
Alright, I'm gonna ask Hugin if she had heard anything about anyone over here in this area.
There's a silence for a minute, and then she replies, there are a few patrols somewhat nearby, but nothing specifically in this area.
And like nothing like since we got hold of the radio, or is it nothing like right now?
Nothing right now. Obviously, she was paying attention mostly to radio, like, just along the way that you came, making sure that there was no patrols coming in the path. So she wasn't particularly paying attention to this specific area across time.
And the bridge up ahead you said was kind of like rickety?
Yes, so there is a bridge up ahead at the end that seems not the most stable. It's also not particularly a wide bridge, and you don't think that if you send the truck, anything could walk beside it. Maybe in front of it or behind it, but definitely not beside it. There won't be enough room.
In that case, I'm gonna bring up, hey guys, how about we have the truck go ahead and Cherub fly alongside it just to be safe?
Cherub and Principality will agree with your course of plan and go on ahead. As the truck manages to reach the precipice of the bridge, Cherub flying suit beside it and starts to go on to the bridge proper. There's a loud creaking and somewhat crunching noises of wood and metal being stressed. Cherub will actually, at that point, fly over the truck and kind of say over comms, I'm going to try to latch onto the truck and use upward thrusts to reduce its weight a little. We don't want this thing falling through it.
Sounds like a good idea, though I'm worried it might lose traction then.
I'll try to keep it as a decent balance, but this will keep me pretty busy, so you guys keep a lookout, okay?
Alright.
With that, what are you guys doing? Are you guys waiting at the edge of the bridge? Are you just standing around where you are right now? Where are you guys?
I'd have Hugin stand back by the bridge.
Okay.
Sort of like final guard there, with me and Throne kind of set up between the two ruins of the buildings, like me maybe here, actually about there, Throne on the sort of the other side by the other building.
Okay, Throne over here. Does that sound decent?
A little bit more towards the bridge, like one space over.
Okay.
Or two. Yeah, right there. Right there is good. Nope, back.
Oh, back.
That's yeah.
Okay.
That last one. There. Yeah. Perfect. That way, like, doesn't really give a whole lot of cover, but it gives something. We're a little bit out of sight, not a whole lot. And Hugin's in the back for artillery if needed.
Okay. As you slowly proceed across the bridge, Throne will actually speak up. He'll say, wait, that's kind of strange. I'm getting something in my sensors. I can't tell its shape from the reading. It's all dispersed.
Can you try to get a lock on it?
He says, I need to go around to get visual.
And you said it's like...
coming from west side. Past this building.
Past the building.
Should I break cover? He asks.
I'm not seeing anything from here. I'll go take a look. Be ready for backup.
You start moving along. So you're moving westwards, correct?
Yeah, I'm moving because he said it was like on the other side of the wall right there.
Yes, that is true. On the other side of the wall, beyond that, in the westerly direction, he was getting some sort of strange reading.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna go up a little bit ahead, not too far. I'm not going past the tree. I'm gonna like take a look around, see what's there.
Okay, what is your sensor range?
10.
10. That's actually a pretty good sensor range. So I would say that as you make your way across, when you get to approximately here,
okay,
your sensors will go off in the direction. It will be something is moving quickly from the westerly direction towards you. Your sensors aren't able to distinguish its shape, but it's a little bit further than, basically the map entails. It's coming further in from the forest that you emerge from, but it's moving quickly.
Drone, get ready. I think we've got it coming.
So with that, and all of you ready in positions, through the west end, breaking through the foliage, a very large and unrecognizable mech pattern emerges. I would like you to set yourself to combat. And with that, we can begin combat.
All right, first things first.
So, the first person that gets to go is you, Method. Because unless you want to elect one of your other allies to go first before you.
I'm already in view and in range of the thing, I believe, so
yeah.
That makes sense. All right, first things first, I'm going to use a quick action, quick attack to lock on.
Sure thing. You have successfully locked on.
All right. I'm then going to immediately use the lock on for a skirmish with the heavy machine gun.
Okay, go ahead.
And bing.
Unfortunately, as you spread out fire, the heavy machine gun goes wide, not able to hit the target accurately, and the few bullets that do spray towards it, it quickly and efficiently kind of swipes it out of the air with its strange whip-like tendrils.
So, for initiative on the Everest, am I able to use that, take any quick action as a free action?
Yes.
To skirmish again with a different weapon?
Yes, you can.
Alright, I'm gonna skirmish again with the assault rifle.
Sure.
Get some damage on this dude.
Well, your assault rifle would also miss, but thankfully it has the reliable tag, meaning that even though your aim wasn't perfectly true, the assault rifle's mechanisms are able to correct itself and get a few plink damage off on this mysterious enemy. The minute it is damaged with your attack, a defensive shroud activates. And it creates a shroud zone in its location. Burst 1.
I think it's safe to say at this point, this dude is not just a tractor with guns strapped to him.
No, it is actually very strange. This is a highly advanced mecha whose pattern you don't quite understand. And it's very uncharacteristic of the make-do mechs that you have seen before.
So, for the make-do mechs, would you say they were piloted by Lancers or just random people that happened to have them?
You would definitely say they seemed like random people. I mean, you weren't able to recover any because you kind of fought and killed them.
Overkilled, yeah.
Yeah,
but generally, by saying someone is a Lancer, there's an implied, level of skill.
Yeah, that they definitely did not show in your earlier encounter with them. But
So,
this
yeah,
thing...
I want to call out to the rest of the team that we've got a Lancer over here.
That's a valid call to make. With that, it is going to take its turn. Okay, so it's going to use its Umbral Shroud ability to create another shroud, much like the one that it created before. And it's going to create it within 5 of it. Then, as nanites flow from it and create another cloud, obscuring everything inside it. It will then use Umbral Shift as a quick action to teleport to that shroud.
This dude isn't something to be messed around with. I could use some help.
Okay, it's going to use its Scouring Whip, which, while it's inside its shroud zone, gets a threat of 3, so it can hit you.
Oh, fun.
Thankfully, it manages to plink relatively harmlessly off your shields.
Oh, come on, you could do better than that.
With that, it's its turn. You get to decide who gets to go next in your team.
Throne's closest by, having a Throne come in to help would be good. But
Okay.
I also don't want Throne to get too close, because eventually humans will be able to go, and Tchaikovsky's Overture will probably take care of this.
Okay, that's a valid plan. You can instruct Throne to engage, but keep his distance. He's going to basically say, copy that, following your lead. And he is going to first move into position here, having a clear line of shot to this enemy. Now, unfortunately, this enemy now is within its shroud, which means it is invisible and resistant to all damage. Prone 4, it's going to use its heavy assault rifle with impact rounds. And it's going to actually barrage. It's going to use also its underslung grenade launcher, using the maximum amount of firepower it can manage, trying to damage this enemy as quick as possible. Unfortunately, the nanites disseminate the incoming barrage from the assault rifle, shredding its rounds before it can hit the target. Now, thankfully though, reliable 2 is a thing, but it is resistant to all damage, so it only plinks 1 more point of damage from this thing. Okay, but thankfully we have the underslung grenade launcher, and he's like, I still have more attacks, as he's going to fire his underslung grenade launcher. Let's see if it does better. And it's a big blast that he's gonna aim away from you.
Oh, wow.
Let's see if this does more damage. And no.
No, it does not.
Unfortunately, while he thought maybe attacking from a different angle and hitting from behind with an explosion might work, the nanites work overtime, consuming any of the shrapnel and debris from the explosion, completely nullifying the blast.
Well,
with that, its turn is over. Also, technically, we didn't do it right last time, so we're gonna do it correctly this time. You're supposed to choose which of your allies is going to go at the end of your turn, but since you're the only person, since we're doing a solo session, you have to choose. So it would be at this point that you actually choose which ally is going to go next, and then the enemy goes.
It's going to be Hugin.
Okay, so Hugin. So you have selected Hugin will go next whenever it's available. So next, the lurker will take its turn once again.
Oh, fun.
It will, again, as a protocol, at the start of its turn, create another shroud. It's going to use its movement to move right up next to you. And it's going to make 2 attacks against you. One with its ripper claws and one with its whip. Now, since you are inside the shroud, all hostile characters are shredded and impaired.
Woo, help. This is suffering.
I am going to do with the whip first and then the claws second. Oh my god. Your shields hold true. Seriously. What the hell? That's hilarious. But also like, what the hell? Come on, mech.
I have only one thing to say to this dude now at this point with those 2 fails. Harder.
It's not gonna respond, but you can feel like it's weirded out a little bit.
Come on.
Okay.
Better than this?
I mean, it surely thought that it would be doing better than this, but it's clearly not. So, here we are.
Haven't scratched the paint yet.
Nevertheless, maybe you spoke too soon because it's going to try again with its ripper claws this time. Oh my god, I cannot roll to save my life. What the hell? Okay. I guess that is his turn.
Poor dude. This poor dude. He thought he was gonna come in, fuck shit up, and then he just runs into me. Can't do anything.
Your shields block all of its attacks. You had elected for Swarovski's overture Hugin's mech to go next. And she'll clearly is like trying best to not get you in the cover fire, and it will aim its massive fuck off cannon.
I'll radio back. I can take it. Just shoot the thing.
Oh, so you're okay with it, you being in the blast range?
Yeah, I
Okay.
fully expected that.
Okay, fair enough.
Shoot the thing.
Shoot the thing it is. Making sure that it's gonna hit, goddammit. Something has to hit in this combat.
Yeah. Oh, there's also a thing I forgot entirely.
What?
Because of my training with combined arms, as long as I'm engaged, I have soft cover.
Very cool. We'll keep that in mind when we do the attack against you. Okay. So then, yeah, and it is going to fire its bombard cannon. Oh wow, it manages to hit you and not it. God damn, that invisibility.
Invisibility's too strong, dude.
Oh man.
The first damage I take, friendly fire.
You take 5 points of kinetic damage? No, explosive damage. So you can note that down. But because it's the bombard cannon, a bunch of secondary effects will now take place because this cannon does a bitch ton of things. The seeker cluster bombs activate that hit with this bombard cannon. So even though it missed, it can choose target within choice within range 3 of the target square to take 2 explosive damage, hit or miss. So regardless, it still manages to do 2 explosive damage to it. Unfortunately, well, actually no, it'll still do 1 damage because it gets reduced by armor takes first and then reduction. So it will be takes 1 point of damage, plinks it a little bit with its cluster bombs. And then the next thing that it does, because it does a lot of things. It's a big gun. Big gun has a lot of effects. Earth Shaker Shell. Characters within Burst 3 must succeed a hurdle saving throw or be knocked prone. So first, give me a hull save. I'm going to give a hull save for itself, so that knocks people prone, and then it might create some cover for you. She might create. Well, its save target is 11, so you fail, and you are now knocked prone. Let's see if the enemy gets knocked prone. It also gets knocked prone. It's something.
Hey, we're both down.
Now, as the blast literally tears up the ground, 2 pieces of creating 2 segments of hard cover. So let's say, where would you like the hard cover to be created? I'll let you choose.
I'm assuming we can't put it between the 2 of us, so I want to put it behind him. Yeah, I'm just looking to kind of like block him from
retreat.
Yeah, block him from retreat, really.
Sure, makes sense. So yeah, let's put 2 pieces of cover right there. So its way is blocked, going backwards. Okay, the final person then will go is Chirb. Of course, she's preoccupied with helping the truck go across. She'll mention that it'll take me a bit to get across, and she gives you a time estimate that roughly will equate to 4 turns.
We're fine, we got this.
True,
we can't hit the dude, but we got this.
It can't hit you, you can't hit it, it's fine. And with that, Cherub's turn is also complete. However, that is not all, as complications continue to arise. From the south end, reinforcements come. And we go on to the next turn of combat. Players actually went last time. So enemy turn first.
Oh, fun.
I really want to do something with this goddamn thing, okay? I want to do something, god damn it. So, I'm going to activate it first. It's going to use half of its movement to get up from prone. It's also going to use its ability, Umbral Shroud, to create another Umbral Shroud. Now, it can only have 3 active at a time, so I'll do is this one actually dissipates and gets moved to over here instead.
Okay.
And that's the protocol. And then it's going to barrage you once again.
Okay.
Scouring Whip. You are currently prone, correct?
Yes, I am.
So it will have +1 accuracy.
Oh no.
It finally hits!
Oh no.
We did it! We did it!
Oh no. Oh no. Not a system. Anything but a system. How could you do this?
As the whip grabs onto you, ripping apart what system?
You know, I'm gonna say that it destroys one of the covers, so one of the shields gets ripped off.
Oh, okay. Basically the shields that have been giving so trouble, the whip wraps around it and literally rips it off your forearm before more tendrils come in, because since it manages to hit, it moves it adjacent to you as possible. Now, it wasn't a critical hit, so you're not grappled, but we're already adjacent, so that's fine.
All right.
Next, it's going to attack with its Ripper Claws.
Fun.
That's a hit.
When used with oh, fun. So
And
it deals 10.
It does 10 damage as it
Yeesh.
sharpened claws made of energy pop out from its forelimbs and dig right into your armor. How are you doing?
Could be better.
Could be better. Could be better. Okay, player.
Hey, he did finally hit me. I mean, it did take knocking me down first.
It
which,
did.
You know.
It's something.
Kind of cheating there.
Is
The
it?
only way he could ever hit me was hitting me while I was down. Like, really gonna take advantage of a girl that way.
You're glad that it can't hear your thoughts over... Unless you're saying this over open comms, then it could probably...
I am.
Oh, no. Whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, it seems to remain silent to all your provocations. Okay, you decide who gets to go next. Player turn.
I think I want to go next.
Sure.
First things first. I've had about enough of actually sticking around this dude. So I'm going to activate the core system and power up the Method to Madness.
Sure. As your fuel injector activates, your mech begins to go into overdrive.
So I'm going to use half my movement to get back up, which will be... Would it be 3 or 2?
What's your total movement?
5 normally.
3.
3? Alright, so I'm going to use 3 of my movement. I'm going to remove prone. Okay, so first things first, I got to get out of here, but I know if I make a movement, he's probably going to get an attack.
Yes,
right?
he will get an attack of opportunity, or whatever its equivalent is in the system. I don't know if it's actually called attack of opportunity, but it works the same way.
So, first things first, I'm going to use a quick action to deploy an explosive mine.
Sure. Where would you like to place the mine?
Right here.
Okay.
Next thing, I'm going to make a skirmish against this dude down here, one of the actual like little tractor tank guys.
Okay, sure.
Alright. I'm going to be making a skirmish with my tactical knife.
Sure. Go ahead.
Now, once per round, the tactical knife's an auxiliary weapon. When you attack with an auxiliary weapon, you may fly up to 3 spaces directly towards the targeted character. This movement ignores engagement and doesn't provoke reactions.
Smart, smart.
So I get to move 3, 1, 2, 3 directly to the dude.
Sure, and make your attack. That's a smart way to get away.
So sweet, I'm just going to throw it at him. And because of my core bonus, I gain an accuracy. Dude gets a knife thrown at him.
And gets absolutely destroyed.
So I've got
Right.
2 movement left and a boost.
Yes.
1, 2, and then boost 5. Let's go back to here.
Okay.
And
Sounds
with
good.
that, I will end my turn. Safely out of the way.
Okay. I would say you have made a pretty harrowing escape from it, but it is not done with you yet. It's gonna go again.
Of course it's gonna go again.
It's going to create another umbral shroud. It was then going to use its umbral shift as a quick action to teleport here.
Hey dude, come on. Come on, really?
Which means you are now once again impaired and shredded.
And back in engagement. Fun.
And back in engagement.
Without my knife.
And it's going to use its claws as its final quick action. Thankfully, it seems that its trend of being absolutely unable to hit you unless you're down continues to hold.
This dude really can't do a thing.
Oh my god. Which player goes?
Tchaikovsky's overture.
Okay. Tchaikovsky overture.
Leave the other guys to throne, but avoid hitting him.
You want Tchaikovsky overture to still target the main enemy that's coming after you. Sure enough.
Dude.
Sure enough, she'll Roger and comply. Another big blast. Okay, and she says, I hit you last time. Should I try to avoid you?
If you can, that'd be good.
Okay. She will try to avoid you. Oh, wait. It has something that's super fucking useful that I didn't realize that it has. So it's still going to fire its... Okay, first of all, I need to roll a d6 to see whether or not her Earthshaker shall recharge. They do not. Next, she's going to fire her bombard cannon.
Hey.
It does finally hit, doing a meaty 5 points of damage. Now, of course, that is going to be reduced by armor to 4 points of damage, and then reduced by the fact that it has resistance to all damage while inside its shroud to 2 points of damage. But still, something.
This thing is just tanking everything.
But thankfully, Nexus says, I have the perfect thing that will help in this scenario. And it's going to deploy a flare drone.
Ooh.
Exactly. It's like, I'm going to shine some light on that bastard so we can finally hit him, right?
And the other part of the bombard cannon, the extra explosions?
Oh, right. That's true. Extra explosions also happen, right? So... Earthshaker Shell, of course, doesn't happen, but Cluster Seeker Bombs takes 2 more explosive damage, which gets reduced to just 1 because of the armor and the resistances. Let's have this square represents where the flare drone is deployed. With the flare drone shining its light on the enemy, it loses its invisibility.
Wait, the flare drone's all the way over there?
Well, it has to deploy next adjacent to her. Is it... Is it
deployed to a space within line of sight and range 25?
Oh, line burst 2. Oh, right. It's only burst 2, so it probably wants to be next to it.
Yeah, which means the dude's just going to move out of the way of it.
Okay. So, let's actually create a burst 2 instead. That would actually make a lot more sense. I mean, burst 2 is pretty fucking big.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's...
So many circles.
The explosion will finally go away.
There are so many overlapping areas right now. Oh my god.
Yep. Okay, so it has to stay out of a pretty big square area to not actually be damaged. Okay.
Next one going, by the way, is going to be thrown.
Next person will be thrown. Fortunately, the enemies will get to go first. So, let's say this boy goes next. It is going to do its swap kit. It's going to swap to get the marksman bonus. It's going to target Throne 4. And it's going to fire with its Ranger long rifle. 3 damage. Does it have any armor? It does have 1 point of armor. Huh. 2 points of damage. Well.
Oh no, how will Throne ever recover?
It's doing surprisingly well for itself.
Surprisingly well. Sure, okay, let me just solo the main boss over here real quick.
Okay, yeah. Throne's turn. Unfortunately, Throne will say to you, I used my stopper rounds the last time around. High impact rounds. I need to reload. All of its weapons are loading, so
Okay, you go do your thing.
So it reloads. Do you want it to... and it's going to probably position itself behind the wall, at least. Give itself some cover.
You go do your thing. I'll give you some privacy.
Poor guys. Poor people that work underneath you.
Underneath me? No, with me.
With you.
Who does ever have the displeasure of meeting me?
Okay. This, similarly, is going to move to, let's say, here. So that it can get a clear shot. Yeah, it'll still get hard cover because it's right next to a wall. It's going to do the same thing, swap kit, and hit with the long ranger rifle against your friend. It misses.
Okay.
And then player turn. I guess the only one left for the player side is Cherub, which uses her another turn to move the truck further along the bridge. And then finally, the last Rebel tank's turn, which is going to basically do the repeat of the previous Rebel tank's turn. Swap kit and Ranger long rifle. Hopefully this time having better results. Or not.
No.
Or not.
Not at all.
Hardcover slaps.
Yeah, it does.
As the shots effortlessly just hit the building walls that Throne smartly took cover behind. Okay, next round of combat.
And enemy went last.
So
players go first.
Yep.
Screw it. I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna move back.
Sure.
A total of 1.
You know what? It's gonna hit you with a whip.
Gonna try to.
Well, yeah, it's going to try to, I guess. It can never hit.
You're in for a bad day, bud. Dude's in for a real bad day. He no longer gains anything from invisibility.
He still has a resistance to all damage, being inside his shrouded cloud. But yeah, he's no longer invisible. You are no longer impaired or shredded.
Screw it. Same thing I did originally. First quick action, lock on the dude. The second quick action, the big gun.
Amazing! Amazing!
Here we go.
Finally, you crit it, dealing 14 points of damage, which will get reduced to 7, but
That's still something.
that's still actually enough to structure it. And it
That's how
takes
you
system
fight.
trauma. It destroys a weapon. Okay, do I get rid of the claws or the whip? I'll get rid of the whip. Oh, Jesus, that's a rough blow. It only has 2 weapons. As you absolutely, with the hail of fire, unleash a storm of bullets upon it. And it tries to block it with its whip-like tendrils, but you shred them completely. It is destroyed. The whip. With that, you call the end of your turn.
Yep. Next up's going to be
Throne. Okay. He will finally have everything reloaded, so that would be nice. Okay, but I'm going to have the elite lurker take its turn next.
Has he finally learned how to fight? Has he been schooled thoroughly?
It's going to move one of its shrouds once again to be on top of you.
I'm shredded and impaired again. Oh
Yep.
boy.
It's going to move himself up right next to you. He's going to lock on and attack.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh. Now, crits
Took
don't
him
really
long
do
enough.
anything for enemies, but it still did you take double damage from its claws.
Took him long enough. That's another structure on me. Ew.
Oh, that's a bad one. As it reaches up and tears up some critical systems, and your mech starts to reboot, you'll be stunned.
Well, not yet. Not yet, no. No. We gotta roll a hull.
Oh, right, roll a hull.
Is that a failure? Is the 2 a failure?
It's absolutely a failure.
Okay. So he's got Ripper Claws, right?
Oh,
He's got Ripper Claws,
Oh,
right?
oh, that's bad. That's
You said we weren't killing a character in this session.
Ooh.
We might be.
Oh, this is gonna be really bad.
Because here's what I'm thinking he does. So I powered up the mech, right? The mech's been going full on. Its reactor's been fully powered up. The thing's practically, no, not practically, is glowing. So it's going to take the Ripper Claws, tear right in, and tear out the reactor itself.
Yeah,
Just like oil and fluids dripping off this thing. You could practically see right through the hole, right in the cockpit even. The mech is just down.
Oh, that's bad. Your mech
the lights flicker out and it just crumples.
And your mech crumples into a pile.
So, you sure we're not killing a character today?
Oh, don't worry, I have interesting things planned. Which player were you saying you were was gonna go next?
Round.
Oh, place yourself on the map. Okay, seeing as your mech has been destroyed and Throne is the closest one to react, he moves into action. He needs to get you out safely. But how will he do that?
While he's figuring that out, I'm just clawing my way out in a pilot suit, just holding up a gun, climbing out of the mech.
Okay, he's going to try to do something dumb to try to at least get the mech away from you. He's going to charge onto it, move up to it, attempt to grapple it, and move it away from you.
You don't have an expanded compartment in the thing. Am I the only one that did that?
It doesn't have an expanded...
Actually, no, it makes sense. I'm the only one that would want company.
Okay, time for it to just make a roll. And I believe grapple is just an attack roll. So, target. Let's see if it can hit it. It does hit it! You managed to grapple on to the mech, to the enemy mech. And he's going to use his boost to try to move you two away. So that's boost will give him maximum till here. And pulling along the enemy with him.
Oh, bye.
Enemy turn. I'm going to have the rebel tank go. It's going to try to shoot prone. It's going to do a movement to get up to here. It's going to do a quick action swap kit up to here, actually. Sure. Here, because it wants to actually angle it up. Whatever, you get the idea. It's going to do a swap kit. It's going to do the skirmisher swap, which will let it fire its explosive rifle instead. Now it does 6 damage, which gets reduced to 5 damage to Throne 5. But the big thing is, it has knockback 3. Knocking back Throne 3 spaces directly away, which would be actually till here. Which would make the grapple go away, because the force movement separated them.
Fun.
Player turn, which player's going?
I mean... Cherub.
Cherub. This, I believe, has it been 4 rounds? I think this is the 3rd round, correct? Actually, I can just look at the fucking thing, it'll tell me. It's round 3, yep. So, round 3. Cherub. She reports back, I'm almost there, I'm almost by the end. Guys, just hold on for a little longer.
Easier said than done, but keep going.
With that, Cherub has taken her turn. Unfortunately, it is time for the elite lurker's turn.
Alright, dude.
Okay, here we go. It's going to do a quick action to teleport back inside, right next to you. And it's going to attack now you directly with its claws.
Never thought I'd be dying this way.
Moment of truth, here we go. It's a hit. Okay, so you are down and out. And as your teammates scream in horror as the nanite claws rip into you, shredding through your pilot armor, blood goes spewing everywhere, and your consciousness fades completely. You enter a murky black void, a completely empty void where you can't see, you can't hear, you can't feel, you can't even think. But it's then that you realize that the void that you're staring to isn't stationary.
Oh?
You are not staring into an empty abyss. The empty abyss is staring back at you.
Oh, what? Oh. Oh, okay.
There's a sudden feeling of pain across your arm and face and different parts of your body. As you look around and you realize that the unique features that you possess, the holes in your skin, black ooze begins to stream out from them as the holes begin to widen. And this ooze merges in with the void, with the abyss. Do you do anything? Do you think anything? Do you say anything?
So I'm just staring down at my arm as it's leaking something into the void.
Yeah,
and there's some creature here looking back at
It's as if there's this kind of black ichor that's leaking out of the gashes in your body. And it's as if it's made of the same substance the abyss is made of.
I'm gonna reach down, try and just, I guess, hold on to, just grab my arm, really just kind of cover the mark on it at least.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm gonna do much, but it's something. I'm just gonna look around and I thought, what? Who's there?
As you try to desperately stop whatever strange things is flowing out of you, you realize you can't stop it as more and more of these gashes begin to appear all over you. As you become more and more of the blackened, moving tendrils that you've already seen under you, just becomes more and more of your body. And a voice invades your mind. Analyze, deconstruct, rebuild. It starts off as a slow whisper, like a tickle at the back of your head. But it slowly grows to a raging shout until that's all you can hear. You can barely think. Analyze, deconstruct, rebuild. Analyze, deconstruct, rebuild. It screams at you.
I honestly don't know what even to say to that. I was worried at first, now I'm just panicked at this point.
You scream, it may be in pain, as you realize what's happening to you. Is there anyone you call out to? Is there anything you call out for?
I'm going to call out for Hugin.
You scream Hugin's name into the void. You scream, pleading for your closest friend to come help you from this nightmare. There is no response. No one can hear you. No one can see you. And then there is nothing. And then light begins to pour into your eyes once again as you wake up.
Wait, what?
All of you, one by one, begin to stumble out of the pods, the training chairs, which you do your regular daily training in. Some people throwing up, some people shivering, each one with a horrified look in their face, just the same as the last.
I'm going to look down at my arm.
Your arm is the same as it ever was before. Doesn't seem too different until you kind of turn your wrist, and that smartwatch, the one that keeps track of spread rate on you, you look at the number. The number now says 35%. It was 20% just yesterday.
I'm going to look over to Principality. He's probably the first person I'd see. And he says, what just happened?
How are we here? He says, kind of shaking. I thought you died. And then after that, we've all fell into chaos, and one by one. What's going on here?
CT?
There's a moment of silence. You can see in front of you 2 subalterns working away at screens. The screens show images of the places you were, the planet you were supposed to be on. It shows holographic layouts of the various enemies you faced. CT replies in a calmer voice. Training over. All canaries report back to your beds.
I'm gonna get up.
You shakily get up. You trouble catching balance again as your body is shuddering. You notice Muninn slowly come up to you, unsure what to even say. There's a look of...
Hugin?
Yeah, sorry, Hugin, sorry. Blah, so many names.
Fine.
Hugin come up to you, unsure even what to say. A look of horror in her eyes. But then after a moment, she comes up to you and hugs you. I'm so glad you're still okay. I thought I'd... She says, sobbing with tears in her eyes.
I'm not going to hug back, and I don't know if she would catch it, but Muninn's just sort of muttering to herself, what happened? If Hugin lets go of her, she's going to go over to the computer with one of the subalterns.
Sure, Hugin, after a few moments, will let you go. Kind of not sure what you're going to do. You go up to the terminals with one of the subalterns.
I'm going to try and push it out of the way if I can. Not trying to anger it or provoke it. More just trying to get to the computer.
Sure, I'd say the subaltern isn't particularly resistant, as if you push it out of the way quite easily. Look at the terminal. It shows simulation data in front of you. It shows test parameters. It shows scenario data of a rebellion in a so-called core world. You had been through VR training before. That's what you do with the majority of your days, where you can see, hear, smell all of the things by being inside these pods. But you know that it's just a fictional reality. It doesn't look true perfectly to the real world. But what you experience out there, that wasn't a virtual simscape. That felt so real. You felt the pain as those nanobot claws dug into your flesh. You felt that vision.
And that vision is what I'm looking for. I'm trying to see if that's a scene on here.
As you scroll through it, you finally come to one place that says, unexpected anomaly outside of simulation parameters. Signal data cannot be received. CT, Caretaker 2, will calmly state in the PA system. All canaries, please return to your dorms. Muninn, please see me.
I'm gonna turn around and look back to the group.
The group is slowly, shakily getting back up on its feet, exiting the pods. Again, very much in a daze or confused at what's going on and what really transpired. Throne 4 will actually be the first to lose his temper, punching the side of the pod. And it's like, that all was just a effing simulation, and he's gonna rush out of the room in anger. The rest are gonna look around, unsure what to do or what to even make of what's occurred.
After Throne storms out, Muninn's going to run out and over towards CT's chamber.
As you pass by Cherub, she tries to reach out to say something to you, but then she just says, "Never mind. I'm glad you're okay." And she's gonna let you go.
To be fair, Muninn, while physically fine, does not look okay. She's just running.
Sure. Paying not much mind to Cherub's words, you continue on your path.
She's just gonna start banging on it.
The door will slowly open up, letting you pass. And then the second door will open up. "Thank you for coming, Seraph 4. CT will say in an ever calm and unemotional voice as always.
What did you do?
It was a simple training exercise. After the Canary's response to the death of the Gen 1s, be deemed that you all required special training in order to handle high-stress situations. So we canceled the aforementioned planned field trip and rather ran a simulated exercise. Of course, this simulated exercise was a little different than what you're used to. You would probably not remember it since we overwrote that part of your memories once you entered the test chamber. But in the morning, you didn't actually enter the ships to leave Manu. You were told that the field trip was cancelled and you will be having another regular day of training. However, once you were put in the training capsules, we overwrote certain parts of your memories and created a very realistic simulation to put all of you in a very high stress, dangerous scenario.
You killed me.
It was
You killed all of them.
It was a simulated death, not too different than the ones that occur in our everyday training, is it not? Not too different than every time I am cycled. However, I do wish to speak to you, not regarding the fact that you managed to not survive the simulated challenge, but rather of what you saw and experienced after. Seems that a very, very strange anomaly occurred after you went down. You could no longer record whatever you were experiencing, even though your brain pattern showed that you were experiencing something. Further, the rest of the simulation went haywire, and she will show you projection, an image. The image will show the battlefield that, as you last remember it, you being struck down by the giant nanomachine-powered mech. But as soon as you went down, everything started to glitch out. The enemies started to transform. Instead of looking like completely different beings, they looked like the following creatures that it displays to you. Strange, spectre-like beings that took the place of the planned test enemies that your allies were supposed to fight. And these new strange enemies you see in the projected stream absolutely slaughter and decimate your allies. And as their mechs are destroyed, they come and latch and grab onto with their whip-like tendrils the actual physical bodies of your fellow canaries. And then you see something truly horrifying occur as their bodies contort, twist, and grow like a sickening tumor before exploding. You watch in horror as each of your remaining comrades die this horrible, gruesome death. This was not in the intended scenario. This anomaly was caused by you. And so I would like to discuss it more.
He's just going to stand there staring at the hologram, the screen, in pure shock and horror. Just her mouth agape, just staring at this. Why didn't you shut it off?
We attempted to do exactly that. However, our systems were frozen. Even when we shut off the simulations, we stopped projecting any new visual data to all of your allies. It seems like as if a collective hallucination continued. And it seemed to do so until you woke up.
Is that all you have to say? It was just frozen?
No, it's not that the simulation froze when we tried to stop it. It's that it took a life of its own.
What do you even mean by that? It just...
It continued without us providing any input, without any of the actual machinery that produces the data streams to your various senses actually providing any data at all.
We just hallucinated the end?
It seems you had a collective hallucination. But one that we could record, oddly enough. What's stranger still is we couldn't record what you saw or heard. So let me ask you, what did you see and hear after you were killed?
I don't know.
Takes a second process. I see your spread rate has jumped up. We noticed the minute you had passed in the simulation, that number began to quickly increase. We'll have to keep careful monitoring on this situation, as this is a very unexpected result.
CT?
Yes, Seraphor?
What exactly is spreading?
It takes a moment to consider. you can probably feel as if though it's trying to work out various simulations and possibilities in its head of whether or not it's more advantageous to the Canary program for you to know more about your origins or less about your origins. But after a few moments of careful consideration and simulations, it responds. You are aware of the generation that has occurred after yours, correct? How they seem to have not many of any genetic abnormalities and seem to have performance results very close, at least in tests, to the first generations.
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
Well, as it is apparent, the flash cloning process that was used to create gens 2 to 4 had not yet been perfected. Generation 2 and 3 in particular had strange quirks come about that were more or less unintended. However, Generation 4 is a little special. There were unique deviations added to your genetic data. The hope was that if being a direct clone of the original Gen 1s didn't provide good enough results, then we might try to overcome the deficiencies in nurture through improvements in nature. Yours was one such genetic experiment. Though, as you probably have observed, yours was, how should I put it, more radical than those of your compatriots. You do contain majority the genetic code of Seraph 1. However, that is not the only parent you have. You have another, a non-human parent.
And what are they?
Unfortunately, details of these beings are top-led Union classified information. However, what I can tell you is that they are codenamed specters, and visually they're very similar to the strange, unexpected enemies that your compatriots faced, at least from our records. These specters seem to possess paracausal abilities, not too dissimilar in nature to those that we wish to foster amongst the Canaries. Therefore, it was decided that perhaps the latent paracausal potential that the Gen 1s displayed could be teased out by augmenting Seraph 1's DNA with that of a spectre. Which end result was you. The spread factor measures how much of your DNA currently is Spectre DNA versus Seraph 1 DNA. In an unexpected result, we had only intended to have 1% of your DNA be that of a Spectre. As you have grown and matured, that number, strangely and surprisingly, has increased, resulting in the physical aberrations that you see on your body. Though it had not resulted in any tangible or useful results, practically speaking. Not until today.
You call that useful? She's going to gesture to the screen with the image of the team getting torn apart on it.
Well, certainly not ideal results. We will have to schedule some therapy sessions for the rest of your compatriots. We believe that this is a result of latent paracausal abilities that lie within you. You are very special, Seraphor, the prodigy of this generation, and thus I have been tasked to keep a much closer eye on you going forward, such that perhaps we can tease out these abilities to more practical applications. I understand that this experience must be very upsetting to you, but this should be seen instead as an opportunity. Sure, this simulation did not go at all within our expected parameters, but we believe that there is potential yet to what you have displayed today.
And if I don't want to?
Well, it is well within your rights to refuse certain training programs. However, we do have guardianship over you. And it thinks for a minute. View it this way. Whether or not you like it, you have paracausal abilities. Abilities that you are not yet able to control. And it is due to this lack of control that your allies face that tragic experience. Would it not be best then to learn more about these abilities of yours and learn to control them, such that you can use them in a beneficial manner?
I need to think on that. Just don't involve the others again.
The results of this simulation was never my intention. This was very much an unexpected discovery. The original simulation intention was to make it very clear.
I get that. Just... they're not involved again.
Very well. I shall make no mention of this conversation to the others. It will open up the door for you to leave.
We'll talk later, CT.
And with that, CT lets you go.
I'm gonna take the long way around the ring.
Okay.
Heading for Hugin's room. I'm gonna walk the long way around the ring, heading for Hugin's room.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just kind of taking the time to see what's going on with the rest, if anything.
Okay. As you pass by the training room, you'll see that everyone has emptied out of it. No one wanting to be in there anymore.
I'd expect.
And
the dorms?
As you pass by the dorms, you see most of the canaries have kind of returned to the dorms. Some are in their beds. Some are talking to one another. But there's a look of wariness and fear in their eyes. They're all a little traumatized by the events that have occurred.
I'll leave them alone for now. They might not know everything that I've been told and pieced together, but I don't want to bother them.
Mm-hmm. As you reach up to Hugin's room, you see her beginning to enter. You catch her just as she's beginning to enter her room. She looks back at you. Hey, Muninn, she says somberly.
Hey.
What did CT say?
Can we talk about it inside?
She nods. Both of you will enter into the corridor. Once again, the passageway shutting off behind you. You can put on the suit that is required, as the air will be filtered and cleaned of any microbacterial contaminants. And finally, the door will open up and you can enter Hugin's ever messy room. She kind of just lies down, takes a seat on the edge of her bed, exhausted.
Brandon's gonna take a seat on the far end and just pull her knees up to her chest and just hold them there. Just silently sitting.
Hugin will be definitely surprised by this. You've always been, I would say, the cheerful one, right? The one that's
Probably,
loud
yeah.
and, brash and outgoing and never lets anything get her down. So, seeing you like this, well, Hugin will definitely notice. She'll move up closer to you, kind of put an arm around your shoulders, like, hey, Muninn, how are you holding up?
I know what happened after I died in that.
Oh, CT, she sighs. Yeah. She'll shake her head and start taking off the exosuit, now in her clean room, being able to be free of it. She says, yeah, that was pretty harrowing. But hey, don't beat yourself about it too much. It's not like it was your fault.
It was.
What do you mean? This is some crazy fucking simulation CT came with. I mean, it's not your fault that you ended up dying. You're a great leader out there.
No, Hugin.
Yeah?
The simulation ended after I died.
Wait, what do you mean? Of course it didn't. We were all there. We saw it.
No, it wasn't running.
She looks at you utterly confused. That can't be right. I couldn't have just hallucinated. I talked about it with the rest. They all saw it. How would you even... Did something go haywire in their systems and the simulation kept running after they intended it to stop? Hugin will look very confused by this revelation. Not sure she understands what you're implying.
Maybe the machines were used, but it wasn't their doing after that.
So
those
whole ghostly things that you can see her catch her word as like a cold shiver runs up her spine as whatever horrific memory she has of actually experiencing at being attacked by those specters still haunts her. Those were a mistake, a glitch in the system. What the hell? What kind of shitty ass simulation did they put us in? Hugin will say, now angered.
They didn't mean to.
Well,
Those things, they...
well, does CT know what caused this shit to happen?
Muninn will nod to that.
Well, what was it?
Me.
She looks at you confused. I don't follow. How could it be you? You were dead in the simulation. You were taken out. We all woke up after one by one after we died.
And those things came out after I died. The simulation shut down after I died. It was all coming from me then.
She'll take a second to process this. Almost like sitting down on the ground trying to like think about what you've just said. Are these the paracausal abilities, the empath abilities? Do you think, holy shit,
No,
Mugen, do you think this is what the Gen 1s? Did you figure out how to somehow do it?
No, not them. Just me.
She'll look even more confused. What do you mean, just me? I mean, you know, it makes sense that we'd be able to do some sort of paracausal nonsense. That's what we were genetically created for.
Mugen, look me in the eyes.
She does.
Look at my face. Look at me.
Yeah, they fucked up the flash cloning process. Look at me.
They
I have to live in a
didn't.
shell.
They didn't fuck it up. They meant to do this. Those things.
They meant to do this? Wait, what? As like the entire thing begins to process in Hugin's head as she realizes the gravity of the words you've said. That all the ailments that you've had, everything that both of you have suffered through, Hugin being locked up in this room and having to rely on an exosuit to keep her alive, blocked out from the rest of the world lest she die. She'd always thought that it was a result of a fuck up in the flash cloning process. It happens, it's known that flash cloning isn't super reliable, but they wanted to produce canaries quickly. And that's what resulted in all of you having the genetic abnormalities that you have, needing to take the medication and the extra care. But now you're telling her that it was intentional, that they made you this way intentionally? Hugin is almost shell-shocked at this revelation and all that it implies. But why? Why would they do that to you? Why would they do that to us?
They wanted us to be better.
At this point, Hugin will generally get upset and she'll like kick some of her trash. God damn the Institute. These sons of bitches think that they can do whatever they like with our lives. Hugin is furious. You've always known that she's not been super fond of the Institute. But now you see nothing but pure hate in her eyes.
Her that angry and violent at this point. Normally, Muninn would be fine with that and kind of play along with it. Now she's just scared, so she's just going to slide back further into the bed.
I think she won't go on too much of a rampage, but after a while she'll kind of like slump against the wall and kind of slowly slide down it. And you can tell that she is sobbing too. This news has definitely devastated her. And she thinks to herself, you know, when we were on that planet, or in that simulation, and I told you that we should just run away from all of this, from Union, from SSC, from the Canary Institute. I meant it.
Hugan, I can't.
She looks up and glares at you. Why can't you?
You know why. You saw what happened.
Yeah, they did that to you. So why continue to help them? Why continue to work for these bastards?
Hugan, those things. That's what I am.
She'll go up to you and grab you by the shoulder. No, you're not. You are Seraphor. You are my Muninn. The friend who's always there. The person who is always a joy and a cheer. The best in our class. The best in all of us. You are not those things. Anything that happened in that simulation, anything that we experienced back then, it's their fault, not yours. Do you understand me?
I don't think you understand me. I saw things after I died. I felt things, heard things. Screaming. Demands.
She doesn't. It's because of what they did to you, what they did to us. It's not you.
What if it happens again? What if it gets worse?
Hugan looks at you with a grim expression. I promise, I won't let it. And even if it happens again, I'm going to be there. We'll figure something out together, Muninn. We always have.
But never this. Those things, they killed all of you.
I'm still here. We're all still here. And even if the rest ever found out about what happened in there, they'd still love you as much as we all love you, Muninn.
That's not what Those things could kill you so easily there. Could do that to your mechs.
It was just
and
a
if
simulation.
This gets worse, what?
You won't hurt us. I know you, Muninn. You're always the best of all of us. I know you're scared, and I know this is a lot. It's a lot for me too, but we're still here. All of us. We'll figure it out together.
Just don't tell the others.
Hugan says, she'll nods, but she'll repeat again. Even if they knew, they would not hate you. They would never hold it against you. Not you.
If they knew everything, I don't know.
We are comrades, Muninn. Family. We are all that each other have. No matter what happens, we're not going to turn our backs on each other. I can promise you that. Back there in the simulation, sure, it was terrifying and horrifying what was happening to us and those things that we faced. But you know what hurt us the most? What made us send us through the most panic, and what caused us to take the most rash decision? It was thinking that we had lost you. The worst thing that happened to me today wasn't being attacked or killed by those things. The worst thing that happened to me today was thinking and believing that I saw you die. We all care about you, Muninn. I care about you, Muninn. We'll figure this out. I promise. Again, you can tell that Hugin's not necessarily the best person at consoling. She's definitely not. It's usually a role that's reversed between you two. But despite all that, you can tell that she 100% believes what she's saying. Okay, enough crying for now. Remember, you're supposed to be the tough one between us two, she says somewhat jokingly, as she pulls you in for a nice hug.
Muninn's going to lean into it and hug back.
Now, come on, let's go see the rest.
But
yep, I'll keep our secret.
Okay. And later I want to tell you what I saw. If there's anyone that might be able to piece it together, it's you.
Hugin will nod. It's like, whenever you feel comfortable, you can always come to me. And with that, you two head over to rejoin the rest of your comrades. You know, it's a big, scary, emotional moment, but they're all glad. The minute you enter the room again, they all surround you, asking if you're okay, how you're doing. They were all super concerned about you. You're showered with this feeling of warmth and love. These people hold no hate towards you. These people genuinely care about you. And on that note, I think this is a good point to call for a conclusion.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yep. Well, with that, that's the end of the first solo session I've had here with Silber. And look forward to 4 more solo sessions and the campaign starting in earnest. The campaign will be streamed live at twitch.tv/IkiGamiJJ, and you can catch the VODs of it afterwards reposted to this YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today, SilburWare. I hope you had a pretty great time. There was a lot
I wasn't expecting that much emotion at the end.
Yeah.
But hey,
I always like to throw in a couple of twists, but I hope you enjoyed it and hope it sets up seeds for future events to occur. And with that, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.